Last night he was 7 feet, 500 pounds. This morning he's almost 9 feet, pushing 1,000.
Are you familiar with CRISPR?
Yeah, genetic engineering.
It's more like genetic editing. I am the only one who can cure him.
George, no! George, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yes, I know you're scared. I'm gonna help you. Come. Good boy. No, it's okay.
Sir,
It's okay.
move away from the animal.
It's okay. I'm the primatologist here. I look after this animal. I can handle this situation. I just need you to lower your weapons. Please.
Stand down. Stand down.
What the hell?
No! Rampage, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX.
On the set. This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the April 10th, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronocrypt Network. Starting with the box office report for week 14 of 2018, audiences found A Quiet Place and brought the top 12 up 33% against last year's performance, which was headlined by The Boss Baby. The top 12 earned $148.1 million overall, which puts this weekend in 5th place against 2009 and Fast and Furious, 2014 and Captain America the Winter Soldier, 2010 and Clash of the Titans, and 2015 with Furious 7. Let's kick off this countdown with number 10 and Isle of Dogs, up 1 from 11th. At number 9 is Pacific Rim Uprising, sliding 4 from 5th. At 8th is Sherlock Gnomes, down 2 from 6th. In 7th is new release Chappaquiddick, premiering to $5.8 million. That is well above expectations, and it performed well with the 55 and older crowd. Audiences gave it a B cinema score, and critics between a 67 and 78%. Capping the bottom 5 is I Can Only Imagine, down 2 from 4th. The top 5 begins with Tyler Perry's Acrimony, down 3 from 2nd with $8.4 million and a total of $31.7 million. In 4th place is Black Panther, down 1 from 3rd with $8.7 million to a total of $665.6 million. Black Panther is now the 3rd highest domestic movie of all time, and it's gonna be difficult, if not impossible, to climb much higher. Avatar is about $100 million away, and Star Wars The Force Awakens is $271 million away. On the worldwide charts, Black Panther is sitting at 10th and will pass Star Wars The Last Jedi in about $30 million. The reason it's going to be difficult is coming out on digital on May 8th and DVD and Blu-ray on May 15th. In 3rd place is new release Blockers, premiering to $20.6 million. That's on the level of Neighbors 2 and just beats this year's Game Night. Audiences gave it a B, and critics vary between 69 and 83%. In 2nd place is last week's winner, Ready Player One, adding $24.6 million to a total of $96.5 million. You know, I've been a little hard on this one, and we decided to actually try it out on our new movie passes this weekend, and with zero expectations going in, I was pleasantly surprised. I've mentioned before that the trailers gave me near zero indication of the actual story. Everything they portrayed was about video game characters fighting and the DeLoreans racing in a simulated world that was bright and shiny in comparison to a financial apocalypse of the real. I have also never set eyes on the book, so with that in mind, I was anticipating an absolute failure of a movie. The film itself is pretty much paint-by-numbers 1980s era Spielberg, but the story and moral snagged me once I stopped watching for the pop culture callouts. And after I stopped hunting for them, my inner soundtrack nerd was pleased to hear Spielberg and Silvestri nod to Zemeckis with the Back to the Future Twinkle theme. The universe itself made sense once I thought about it. Without spoilers, since the entire world is completely absorbed in the virtual reality that centers around the pop culture of a particular era, it wasn't too large a leap to understand why so much of the marketing and product in the story's universe also remains locked in that era. One example is the 1980s Doritos bag that makes a couple of appearances. What doesn't make complete sense to me, at least yet, is that no other creators have made something new to either compete with or complement the existing worldwide tech craze. So much of history's best creative periods spring from times of deep tribulation, destitution, and conflict, but I guess, when the prize is valued in the trillions of dollars, what corporation would ignore the immediate return on investment on nostalgia? It meant a lot to me personally to see the moral of this story echo something that I try to live by, even though it is a little ironic that the advertising focused so much on the pop culture world to pass that message to audiences, the message on just how much they should spend more time with flesh and blood interactions. Go figure. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Finally, at number 1 is A Quiet Place, debuting to $50.2 million. That's a debut topping anything in the Conjuring and Insidious franchises, and everything in the Paranormal Activity series except the third film. That's important, because the budget was a scant $17 million. Add the B+ cinema score and the 82 to 96% critical reception, and you might just have a winner. I'm trying to find the time and the crew to go see this film, and as I understand it, I want to find a quiet theater with minimal distractions, since there's not a lot of sound for 90% of the runtime. Maybe it's best to avoid the popcorn this time around. The box office premieres for April 13th are trying to smash expectations. This week's headliner is Rampage, a science fiction adventure film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Malin Ackerman.
We gotta stop these things before they destroy the city. That's right. Let's kick some ass.
Primatologist Davis Okoye shares an unshakable bond with George, the extraordinarily intelligent gorilla who has been in his care since birth. But a rogue genetic experiment gone awry transforms this gentle ape into a raging monster. As George and a couple other newly created monsters tear across North America, destroying everything in their path, Okoye teams with a discredited genetic engineer to secure an antidote, fighting his way through an ever-changing battlefield, not only to halt a global catastrophe, but to save the fearsome creature that was once his friend. At this point, I'm just baffled, actually surprised, that they made Rampage, the video game, into a movie. I mean, there was not much plot to it. There's a gorilla, and a Godzilla creature, and a wolf, and they smash buildings and eat people and just go as far as they can, destroying the world. But I guess with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson behind it, it might just end up being like Sharknado, one of those over-budgeted B movies that just is a lot of fun. Rampage is rated PG-13. The next title is Borg vs. McEnroe.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
A sports drama starring Severe Goodnison, Shia LaBeouf, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Listen to those jeers. I can't remember a single Wimbledon match where the crowd has made this much noise.
Out! Out! Excuse me?
It wasn't on this side of the line, Mr.
How?
McEnroe.
The ball, the chalk flew up.
The ball has been ruled out.
Excuse me?
It was a good call. It was a bit of a scramble.
You can't be serious. You cannot be serious.
It was a
the
good
ball was on the
decision.
line. Chalk flew up all over, man. The chalk flew up. He saw it. That's why he's walking all over it. Everyone saw it was in. You cannot possibly call that out.
I'm going to issue you a warning for unsportsmanlike behavior, Mr. McEnroe.
Borg isn't playing any great tennis, but it's enough to beat the unseeded American Gottfried.
John, congratulations on reaching the final. So it's either Jimmy Connors or John McEnroe that awaits you now. How do you respond to McEnroe's comment from before the tournament that Borg the machine will soon break down?
I'm just like anybody else. I'm not a machine.
This is the story of the 1980s tennis rivalry between the placid Bjorn Borg and the volatile John McEnroe. I am assured that it has nothing to do with Star Trek. Borg vs. McEnroe is rated R. And the third wide release is Truth or Dare, a horror thriller starring Lucy Hale, Tyler Posey, and Violet Bean.
It's the game.
What?
It is. It followed us home.
Are you being serious?
Carter told me that it was real, said that we were all in, and that it would find us.
We're really taking the word of our mentally unstable tour guide?
How else do you explain what happened to me in the library, huh? And now Ronnie?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he was drunk and he fell off a pool table, which is what happened.
It's just a coincidence that he was supposed to be doing a dare?
Yes.
No. Carter said, tell the truth or you die. Do the dare or you die. Ronnie chickened out. He did not do his dare and now he's dead. Guys, tell me I'm not crazy.
A harmless game of truth or dare among friends turns deadly when someone, or something, begins to punish those who tell a lie or refuse the dare. Truth or Dare is rated PG-13. There are also 5 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of April 10th, and I'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list begins with The Greatest Showman, a musical drama starring Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, and Zac Efron. This is the story of American showman P.T. Barnum, founder of the circus that became the famous traveling Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. The Greatest Showman is rated PG-13. Number 2 on the list is Phantom Thread, a romantic drama starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Leslie Manville, and Richard Graham. Set in the glamour of 1950s post-war London, renowned dressmaker Reynolds Woodcock and his sister Cyril are at the center of British fashion, dressing royalty, movie stars, heiresses, socialites, debutantes, and dames with the distinct style of the House of Woodcock. Women come and go through Woodcock's life, providing the confirmed bachelor with inspiration and companionship until he comes across a young, strong-willed woman, Alma, who soon becomes a fixture in his life as his muse and his lover. Once controlled and planned, he finds his carefully tailored life disrupted by love. Phantom Thread is rated R. And number 3 is Molly's Game, a biographical drama starring Jessica Chastain, Idris Elba, and Kevin Costner. Molly Bloom, a young skier and former Olympic hopeful, becomes a successful entrepreneur and a target of an FBI investigation when she establishes a high-stakes international poker game. Molly's Game is rated R. Swinging by new release on digital video, I bring you Den of Thieves, a crime drama starring Pablo Schreiber, Gerard Butler, and Sonia Balmores. While planning a bank heist, a thief gets trapped between 2 sets of criminals. Den of Thieves is rated R.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair.
Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, I have one title. That one is Outlander, Season 3 from 2017, starring Catriona Balfe, Sam Hagen, and Duncan LaCroix. The 3rd season of Outlander picks up right after Claire travels through the Stones to return to her life in 1948. Now pregnant, she struggles with the fallout of her sudden reappearance and its effect on her marriage to her first husband, Frank. Meanwhile, in the 18th century, Jamie suffers from the aftermath of his doomed last stand at the historic Battle of Culloden, as well as the loss of Claire. As the years pass, Jamie and Claire attempt to make a life apart from one another, each haunted by the memory of their lost love. The budding possibility that Claire can return to Jamie in the past breathes new hope into Claire's heart, as well as some new doubt. Separated by continents and centuries, Claire and Jamie must find their way back to each other. As always, adversity, mystery, and adventure await them on the path to reunion, and the question remains, when they find each other, will they be the same people who parted at the Standing Stones all those years ago? I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays in the past, and this week I bring you Cleopatra, a historical drama from 1934, starring Claudette Colbert, Warren William, and Henry Wilcoxon. In 48 BC, Cleopatra, facing palace revolt in her kingdom of Egypt, welcomes the arrival of Julius Caesar as a way of solidifying her power under Rome. When Caesar, whom she has led astray, is killed, she transfers her affections to Mark Antony and dazzles him on a barge full of Demillian splendor. But the trick may not work a third time. Cleopatra is not rated. After a brief break for a bout of shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
The Flash Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. Now it's three apocalypses in one. Yeah! Suffering from tough, stuck-on humans? Well, 20 hellish hours of suffocation in the all-encompassing web of Karwik the Spider God will get them right out. Too many brains lying around? The ravenous mouths surrounding zombie-fighting Ruby will quickly clean those up. Nosy neighbors, infect them with the murder plague, and watch as they dissolve into paranoid maniacs bent on the preemptive assassination of their friends and family. Why stop at one end of the world when you can have all three? You can find them all at flashpulp.com or search for them on iTunes.
Welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. Up first, the Red Sonja movie reboot has recruited X-Men First Class writer. And all of my hopes for this movie died. Red Sonja will forever be linked with author Robert E. Howard's sword and sorcery epics and the world of Conan the Barbarian. She was actually created in her most recognizable form by writer Roy Thomas and artist Barry Windsor Smith for Marvel in 1973. She was partially based on Howard's character Red Sonja of Rogatino from his 1934 short story The Shadow of the Vulture. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Rogatino or Rogatino? I don't even know. She was refitted by Marvel for their Conan adaptations, and since then, the many adventures of Sonja were told across Marvel and Dynamite Comics. Gail Simone found her and made her awesome. Seriously, if you haven't read a Gail Simone Red Sonja run, it's worth it. Gail Simone is she's amazing. I would love to meet Gail Simone and call her my hero to her face. Encouraged by the success of the Conan films, a Dutch-American movie was released in 1985 and featured Bridget Nielsen as the titular hero. It was not very good. I own this movie. It's not very good. It's like they just forgot how to tell a story once Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't part of it. But whatever, it's all good. Now Deadline reports that Millennium Films have appointed a writer to bring Red Sonja back to the screen. Ashley Edward Miller has been tapped to pen the screenplay for the movie. He's written X-Men First Class as well as MCU's Thor. He's also working on a reboot of John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. Seriously, come on. Do we really need a reboot? I mean, really? It's an exciting opportunity to faithfully adapt the amazing Hyborian world Robert E. Howard created and injected with Sonya's intelligence, ferocity, and fearless humanity. I want people to love Sonya the way I love her, and walk out of the theater understanding why she is so popular and enduring. Sonya is an icon. Nah. I mean, she's an icon, but I'm not sure about this one. Thor was good, but the X-Men movies are a hard pass for me. Next, Steven Spielberg is open to making the next Indiana Jones a woman. Disney and Lucasfilm have been very clear that the franchise will continue on after Indiana Jones 5. But how they plan to keep it going isn't exactly clear. There was talk of recasting with Chris Pratt or Bradley Cooper taking over the role years ago. However, there has been major pushback on anyone but Harrison Ford playing the role. Well, if you're a guy, that is. The one who takes the fedora from him may just be a woman. During an interview with The Sun, Spielberg was asked about the possibility of a woman taking over the Indiana Jones role. He said, "We'd have to change the name from Jones to Joan, and there would be nothing wrong with that. Except Jones, Indy's last name was Joan. Why would it be Indiana Joan? I don't understand that one, but okay. Maybe the next Indy can return items to their native culture instead of a museum? Maybe. That'd be kind of cool. It would open up a bunch of new stories instead of the one that came right out of an Ancient Aliens episode. I'm not bitter. Seriously though, it's an actual episode. I mean, Ancient Aliens is my guilty pleasure, but just still. Anyway. Next, Black Panther is set to break Saudi Arabia's 35-year movie ban. Cool! BBC News is reporting that on April 18th, the movie will screen at a brand new AMC theater in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The 600-seat theater also won't be gender segregated and is part of a new move to modernize the nation. And finally, John Krasinski pushed to cast a deaf actress in A Quiet Place. It's about time. The movie is making a huge noise in its first weekend at domestic box office, capturing $19 million on its way to an expected $46 million opening in its first 3-day frame. It's already won over critics and audiences are quickly following suit. Set in the near future after an alien attack decimates the Earth, A Quiet Place contains almost no dialogue. The aliens in question, while blind, have hypersensitive hearing and attack their prey in a violent manner when either humans or animals make sudden noises. Apart from a few words spoken in the film, a family of survivors must resort to sign language to communicate or experience certain death. Millicent Simmons, who plays Krasinski's and Emily Blunt's deaf daughter in the film, is deaf in real life. In an interview with THR, co-scribes Scott Beck and Brian Woods revealed that it was Krasinski who made a huge effort to make sure Simmons was cast in the role. Beck said, "We always had a deaf character in the script, but John really pushed for them to hire Millicent. She came to set and taught everyone sign language. It was really amazing and brought in extra depth to the film." You guys might not think so, but this is actually pretty big. Actors who are otherwise able have been constantly cast in the role of those who have disabilities, shutting out actors and actresses who suffer from the conditions being portrayed on the screen and taking away an opportunity for diversity within Hollywood movies. To have a director push for something like this might go a long way to opening up the floodgates and ushering in an era of movies where reality is actually reflected on the screen. Representation matters. If Black Panther has taught us anything, representation matters. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can do better. Take me to task for the Borg and McEnroe joke. Before you write, though, know that was right in my wheelhouse and my era. So you can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow the prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com, or even go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, all one word. And I am Womprat99, like the creature look at Bullseye is 216 in Beggars Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show has made a comeback in 2018 and is offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a cuppa and join in the fun. In fact, if you leave comments on the live stream itself, John will put them right up on the screen and he'll discuss them with you right there, live on the show. If you can't make it on Sunday mornings, that's perfectly fine, because John posts the video version later on the Facebook page and the audio version later on in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine and find the Chronic Riffs Roku channel, which houses episodes of the Chronic Riffs adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. No Roku, no problem, because those episodes are also available on the Facebook page, YouTube, and even archive.org. So check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of that franchise and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. This week, I'm wrapping up my little side trip with the Sixth Doctor as I take a look at In a Fix with Sontarans. Next week, I'm jumping into the Seventh Doctor's adventures with Time and the Ronnie. And you can find those reviews and so many more at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and a cover designer. She did the logo for Creative Criticality, and you know I'm biased because I shake my tail feathers for her here every week on the podcast. I think she does great work. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment, Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make that store supports the Chronic Riff Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. So get some popcorn and find your favorite seat. Unless you're going to a quiet place, forget the popcorn. Just find your favorite seat and enjoy the journey.